From now on, anything built in the name of an enemy, similar to these bases, facilities, and equipment, will be destroyed again and again with crushing blows. Iran's latest and most menacing warning to its enemies has dropped in spectacular fashion. Israel may be trying hard to conceal the true scale of damage to its vital oil depot, but on the ground the reality in Haifa appears far more dire. As its much-hyped defenses appear to falter under sustained attack, Israel now stands accused by Iran of taking an unusual shield. The IRGC has openly charged that the Israeli army is using its own civilians as human shields to protect its soldiers. It is not just Israel that is feeling the heat, as American military bases across the region also come under intense pressure in the 27th wave. Bahrain, Kuwait, and Iraq have been thrust into the line of fire, with Iranian drones and missiles setting sites ablaze. Iran has now unleashed the 27th wave of Operation True Promise 4, combining precision missile strikes with swarms of armed drones in a coordinated multi-front assault. According to an official IRGC statement, this latest phase specifically targeted US and Israeli military positions, aiming to weaken command hubs and strategic assets simultaneously. Iran says it struck an oil refinery in Israel's Haifa area using Kheibar Sheikan missiles fitted with cluster bomb warheads, designed to maximize damage across the sprawling industrial facility. While Israeli media insist the incoming missile landed harmlessly in an open area, Iranian sources firmly maintain that the projectile directly hit the refinery complex and sparked major damage. Reports further suggest that Iranian missiles also struck near the city of Kheibar, which houses Israel's crucial Orat Rabin power plant, raising fears over potential hits on energy infrastructure. Additional blasts were reportedly heard around Jerusalem, while air raid sirens wailed across Tel Aviv, signaling yet another wave of incoming threats over Israel's heartland. The IRGC further alleged that Israeli authorities were trying to confine residents to the north and center of the country, limiting their movement under the pretext of security. Tehran's forces went even further, accusing Israel of restricting civilians in order to use them as human shields, supposedly to protect high-ranking army officers and sensitive facilities. Even Israeli outlets appeared to acknowledge that Iran had fired cluster munitions toward Israeli territory, signaling a dangerous escalation in the types of weapons being deployed. However, the Israeli military claimed that the majority of Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted by its air defense systems before they could reach their targets. Despite those interceptions, fragments from one destroyed missile reportedly fell on a home in the city of Lod, causing damage and panic among residents there. Israeli reports stressed that no injuries were recorded in this latest barrage of Iranian attacks, even as explosions and alerts disrupted daily life across multiple cities. Beyond Israel itself, US military bases stationed in allied Arab countries also came under heavy fire, signaling Iran's intent to broaden the pressure on American forces. The IRGC said it targeted command units and weapons warehouses linked to the US Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, striking at the heart of Washington's maritime presence in the Gulf. Iranian drones are also reported to have hit hotels in Bahrain and Iraq that were believed to be hosting US military personnel, expanding the battlefield into civilian-adjacent zones. Kuwait, too, reported a wave of hostile drone incursions, with at least some strikes said to have targeted fuel tanks at its international airport in a brazen show of reach. The IRGC has warned that it will keep launching operations against what it labels as legitimate targets, vowing that its campaign will not stop as long as threats persist. The Islamic Republic of Iran respects the interests and sovereignty of its neighboring countries and has not carried out any incursions against them. However, any location from which aggression against Iran is launched will be regarded as a legitimate target. Iran will not compromise with the United States or the Zionist regime. Countries that have not provided space and facilities to the United States and the Zionist regime have not been and will not be our target, but all bases that are the origin of attacks against Iran will, as before, be heavily targeted on land, sea, and in space. We explicitly say that we struck them and destroyed them as a lesson for anyone who dares to violate our nation, and know that from now on, anything built in the name of an enemy, similar to these bases, facilities, and equipment, will be destroyed again and again with crushing blows. The Islamic Republic of Iran strongly welcomes the escort of oil tankers and the reported presence of American forces seeking to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and says it is awaiting them. We advise the Americans to remember, before taking any decision, the burning of the supertanker Bridgeton in 1987 and the oil tankers targeted more recently. In this battle, entering the area vertically does not mean you will leave it the same way. The same applies to your ships. You may intend to enter as floating vessels, but they may sink vertically to the bottom of the Persian Gulf. And a reminder to the corrupt island man, US President Donald Trump, the ground on this war map is in our hands, and we will continue. Iran's latest attacks were framed as retaliation, coming after Israel reportedly launched strikes on vital oil infrastructure in and around Tehran. The Israeli army claimed that its earlier raids had focused on Iranian fuel depots, which it alleged were directly linked to Tehran's military logistics and operations. Iran's national oil refining and distribution company confirmed that key energy infrastructure came under missile attack on March 7, triggering fires and emergency responses. According to the company, oil depots in both Tehran and neighboring Alborz province were struck by missiles, igniting large fires as firefighting teams rushed in to bring the blazes under control.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.